Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me Zero here with.
Right. Welcome to Kamen Rider Zero-One, Episode 12. So, the police have done a thorough search of hidden intelligence, looking for evidence of the rogue Humagear that attempted to assassinate Uwada. And their results find that Assassin Chan's model doesn't exist in hidden intelligence database. But with them being the manufacturers, they feel like it has to be hidden, so they're kind of at a loss here. So Yua steps in and says, "Hey,
Yeah, that was. I mean, it makes sense because like you was working for Zaya, and like Zaya is like straight up trying to take out um like Hiden, so it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, like I guess it does make sense that like she just volunteer that information. I love how like later on like Zero-One just like calls her out on it too. Like this episode, like Zero-One. I mean, like Aruto, questionable how smart he is, but like all the shit that Zero-One does for the most part is pretty smart. Except for one thing, but we'll get to that. Um, yeah, I was not expecting them to do like the search like off screen where it's like I mean I guess it makes sense it's a cost cutting measure because like well like realistically like they don't like what's the point of wasting money showing something you're not going to find. Also that leads to like this interesting thing of like if like Assassin Chan wasn't made by Hiden, then like he's a human gear not made by them, then like who made it? So it sets up this like really interesting plot point of Hiden. I mean not Hiden, of Assassin Chan, which you know is this two-parter is. I mean we'll get to him, but yeah, that was a pretty interesting setup.
right, like, I had a feeling that Assassin Chan was made by Hirobi, uh, but what we learn later on is like, hey, no, something else was happening. So, f- sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean originally I thought like Hirobi made Assassin also, but the thing that they teach in this, or I mean, the thing we find out in this episode is pretty interesting too. Um, which would explain why they keep having to go out and like convert Humagear into Matsurajin. I mean, yeah, you know, like into being on their side.
Magir.
If yeah, like Magyar, because otherwise, like they could just if they made Assassin Chan, they can just make more, right?
Right. So, uh, introduce was something. An older model Humagear, basically. He is a detective Humagear. Uh, was Nazutoku, that's it. He's he's an interesting one. And his first course of action, excuse me, sorry, is to immediately like send a secret text to Arto saying, "Hey, roll with what's about to happen." Would you, if you were Aruto, trust this Humagear?
Okay, so this is interesting. Well, the point is it's Arto, so like Arto would normally trust Humagear anyway. And secondly, it's like human gear can't lie for the most part, right? So like there's no reason not to trust him. Like it's weird because we live in the real world and like no, like no human would trust a personal phone line. Like how did you get this number? To for Arto, I mean like he's like generic good guy anyway. So like he's always gonna be a little more trusting than like regular people would be.
So, but like you're Armchair CEO, you're in Aruto's seat. What would you have done?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Hmm. Well, the thing is, like, you're gonna get busted either way. I mean, like, technically, you could have been like, okay, search it, but like, trade secret, you can't fucking do anything. I mean, they show up with a warrant, but I'm like, yes, so what? Like, you're one of the richest companies in the world. Like, throw some lawyers at the problem. You
So,
know, just stall them.
so you would have just dealt with it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like, I would have checked up on what this guy is, and like, if he shows up and is like an older model, and it's like, well, he has been operating in the past. They do have files of him solving cases, right? So, like, once that was established, like, yeah, I'd be a little more trusting of this guy. But like, not like random text from some guy when the cops show up and just going like, yeah, just roll with it. I'm like, I don't know about that. Yeah, like, I would have used the lawyers to buy me some time, look through this guy's information, and then like trade him. Then yeah,
As one of his gags, but forgot which one he used. And then he tells them, "Oh, and I got some business to go take care of." Henshin's in front of the cops, and then fucking runs for it.
yeah.
So
Stream seems to be okay.
you got
Let
really
me.
quiet.
Oh, sorry, I turned my volume down. Let me just turn it back up. Like on the stream, it sounds a little bit louder. Like it was peaking, so I turned it down. Here, I'll put it up to 80. Um. Anyway, cool. We have 3 concurrent watches. That's cool. Um. As for, yeah, the whole thing of like, yeah, I'm just gonna henshin in front of the cops and then book it. I'm like, okay, that's a writer move to fucking run away. But I'm like, now they all know who you are. But then again, like, technically he's
He
not been
he
hiding
wasn't
it.
keeping it a secret, so
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, the problem here becomes is like, oh, I forgot the password, and then, oh, hold up, you're in custody. You're like the number one suspect. It's like, oh, by the way, I gotta go do my own thing. I'm like, one, vigilante, right, against the law. Two, um, fucking, basically running away. You know. Three, forgot your password, like obstruction of justice. You know, like literally, they could book your ass right now if they wanted to for pulling this stunt. I mean, I get it in a writer story, this kind of action makes sense, but it's like in real life, I'm like, dude, you just like screwed yourself over so hard. Like, it would have made so much more sense to play ball. Like, the problem is, he's got no secondaries. Like, there's secondary writers in the show,
but
but
he's
he
got
doesn't have
he
a.
they're not working for him.
Yeah, right. So he can't rely on anybody, which is kind of his problem here. Um, but like I said, he should have fucking thrown the lawyers at the cops, stalled them, or something. Um, and then like, because okay, you can say, well, how do you stall the cops when you're the only manufacturer? But I'm like, they already searched your facility, right? Like, the fact that they just like magically got a warrant to search the CEO's secret lab. I'm like, one, under whose orders? Two, like, where? Like, that's personal property, private property. It's like industrial secrets. Like, you could throw like a million things. Like, even if the lawyer, I mean, the cops could search it, you could be like, you can't tell anybody about this. So the thing is, like the problem is, I guess I'm seeing it as like how Murakami would play it, and like Murakami would just like sit there and like outplay these fuckers.
Yeah, Murakami would just like get more than what he needed, and then if anything went wrong, it's like, what cops? What cops you sent over?
Yeah,
No one
exactly. I'm
showed
like,
up here.
nobody showed up. That's so good. Oh man, it's true. Fuck, it's so good. I mean, especially considering they're like super AI, right? Like, okay, here's the other thing: they could literally kill the cops and replace them, right? Like Worm style, because their AI is perfect, right? And then just be like, oh, okay, we killed the real ones. Here's the fake ones. Oh shit, the fake ones got attacked by Matsuo. I mean,
Metsubo
like
Jinrai.
Matsuo Jinrai, and they're dead now, right? Like you could play any way you want.
Aruto's not a villain, though.
I know, I know he's not, but I'm like realistically, like Murakami would have had this handle.
Right?
But you're right. Like the second in command could have suggested something, but like I I guess they don't want to make him a bad guy, which I'm like, okay, that's fine because like the like evil
Well,
second in command is
the
such an overplayed trope.
the vice president wants Aruto fired, and so if him getting
Yeah,
arrested accomplishes that, then
yeah. See, that's like one of the problems with the vice president, where it's like sometimes he's written like, okay, yeah, he wants Arto gone, but like he still cares about the company.
yeah,
So
he
like when
wants
he,
Aruto gone because he wants for himself. So he,
yeah, well, that would be good except for Daybreak happened.
but Daybreak was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, but like, eh, fair enough. I guess there's like a 50-50 chance he could spin it.
Also, speaking of the vice president, I love the imagery of him like trying out Aruto's different jokes into the computer hoping that each one will work and open the door.
Yeah, that's a good point. I especially love how there's like a list of his jokes, and it's like, man, none of these are funny. It's so good. Uh, fuck. I love how like the show even knows how bad it is. Like, I mean, it's at this point, it's intentionally bad. Um,
I think it was always him, but Assassin Chan has grown too strong and now is fighting back against his uh not creators but like I don't know, like trainer, mentor, master, I guess. Kill your master.
yeah, I was gonna go with like overlords or whatever, but I'm like, yeah, like he's basically their slave or like Hirobi's pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, uh, honestly, like I was expecting this to happen, but not so soon. But considering this guy wrote X8, like I think Graphite kind of pulled something like this because like Graphite was similar to this, like third tier villain, and then suddenly becomes like the main antagonist.
Yeah,
Um,
Graphite was rebellious against Dan.
right, that's true. Um, whereas this is a different take where it's like he's just like, why would I waste my
But
time with
I
you? I'm
don't have to
literally
listen to you anymore because I'm stronger than you now.
yeah, and it's like it's not even that. It's just literally like I can't evolve using you. Like there's no point in me wasting my time with your shit,
Like,
right? Because that's the thing. Like he doesn't kill them when he can. He just like gets away, right? And then he goes and he talks to the other one, which was interesting. I wanted to see what would happen there, but they get cut off.
uh, so So Aruto has two interactions. The first being with Fua, who's like, "Why are you running from the cops? I thought you believed in your precious human gear." With Aruto saying, "Yeah, I still believe in them. That's why I'm running." And then one interaction with Yua, who's like, uh, "What's your plan here?" And Aruto goes, "My plan? You're the one that told the cops about the secret lab, right?" "Yeah, that's what I thought."
Yeah, I mean, first off, let's go with the Yua ones. Like that scene was fucking perfect because he acts pretty smart. He's like, okay, one, he just calls her out on her bullshit, and two, it's just a distraction to get away. So I'm like, that was perfectly played. The Fua scene is really interesting because Fua is like, okay, with all like the detective shit happening in this episode, like I'm like, you're literally just Shotaro running around now with your freaking haircut and the suit now. So that's great. And then he's actually pretty reasonable. Like I was not expecting him to be this on their side now, but like literally he's like trying to be your friend, Arto. Like, why are you beating him up? I know this is like the standard writer trope, but like he's not, like, Fu is not doing the writer thing of like just coming after you like full force. Like, he's not Teruy, right? He's not trying to like take your fucking head off, right? He's not even trying to take you to the police station. He just wants to know what the fuck is going on. It's like, hey, what are you doing? You're like going against what you believe in. And like Arto just does the writer thing of like, oh, you're a secondary. I'm just gonna beat you up and then get away. I'm like, fuck you. You're an asshole, right? Like, so the Fuo one was perfectly handled. I mean, the Yua one, but the Fuo one is so weird because I'm like, in writer, this is a pretty common scene, but I'm like, this setup's weird because like there's no reason to fight here, right? Like in X8, like Emu wouldn't have fought here,
Right.
right? Whereas I mean, I get it, like that's Arto's kind of personality. He's kind of got this like Spider-Man thing going on, where it's like he's super nice in like regular life, but when he henshins, he kind of gets cocky a little bit. Um, so I guess that's what they were getting at, but it's like, that felt weird, man. I felt like they should have just talked it out there, right?
Right. Like, there could have been a lot more going on, but Aruto had to stay on the move.
I mean, the problem there is like the cops don't know where the fuck you went, right? Like they can't really track you. Um, so like you literally have all the time you want. So doing this doesn't really do anything. I don't know. I mean, like this is one of those cases where you can't just slot in a cliche scene and hope everything will be fine. Like 99, like 9 out of 10 times this would have worked. But this situation, it doesn't make sense because Fua is too damn reasonable, which is an insane statement because Fua is the crazy person, but now he's not.
Character progression. So, Waz, the Detective Humagear, he's reached singularity, right? Because he is one of the most human Humagears we've seen, showing genuine emotion, like seeing himself as Izu's older brother because he was the last president's assistant, first assistant, like wanting her to call him by a nickname, having fun during the investigation. He's reached singularity, right?
Yeah, like I'm pretty damn sure he has. Which kind of puts into this like interesting fact, like one where like the original Humagear are a lot more human, or like they could reach maybe singularity a lot easier. And that kind of led to Daybreak. Or was he just because the president specifically built him to like fight like Matsuro Jinrai and stuff? So like over time he just got more experience. But yeah, I feel like he's definitely reached it at this point. Um, Honestly, I was kind of thinking it's like, okay, like uh, Dodo rebelled like Assassin Chan, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's different. And like this guy shows up, and I'm like, something's weird is going on, and like Zara and shit. It was like, oh, I mean, the president's like, oh, everything's going to according to my plan. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, is he a plot? That just means like you're like way more human. So it's like, you could technically double cross someone if you wanted to. Um, like, yeah, I think he's hit singularity, but I don't think he's gonna double cross Arto at this point.
No, but he is a target for Metsubo Jinrai. Uh, also, Izu shows more human emotion when she is getting annoyed with thinking Waz is just being irresponsible, and when he first refers to her as his sister, she's like, "This is a bad joke, right?"
Yeah, that's originally that's what I thought. Is like when Detective Human, like I think his name is Was, because I'm like I
Was,
don't think
yeah.
we're gonna go was and was again, so it's just was because it's past. But um, so the thing is like when was shows up and he's acting like that and he's telling like all these corny jokes and shit. I'm like, oh, is that why Arto is weird? Because like that's kind of the shitty humor like his robot dad had. Um, and then I'm like, maybe, but then I'm like, this is his grandfather's like assistant, so maybe his grandfather had this weirdo humor and he just picked up on it. So I'm like, that's interesting. But like, yeah, Izu um, is definitely getting annoyed of this guy, which is great. And like, Arthur clearly picks up on it. Like, just bear with it a little bit longer. Um, yeah. So at this point, like, it'd be so damn hilarious if Izu just reaches singularity because she just fucking had it with everybody's bullshit. But like, that'd be pretty funny. I mean, unlikely, but that'd be freaking hilarious.
So, was completes his investigation and finds a group who specialize in kidnapping human gear and remodeling them with different appearances so they can resell them. Uh, uh, and a group of five human gear who were performance dancers for festivals uh, were amongst those who went missing. Uh, they all had the same model appearance, which were changed, and four of them ended up in Metsubo Jinrai's hands, with the fifth one still on the loose. So
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
there's your proof to clear Hida Intelligence's name. Well, they still need a Zetsumurai's key to prove that the human gear was in fact infected.
Right, that's a good point. It's also like super interesting and like it makes sense why like they're just robots, but they're like super realistic robots. So it's like it kind of makes sense why you would have like thieves and stuff would just like basically jailbreak your damn robot to make it do whatever you want. So like, of course there'd be a market for that. Um, that's kind of clever. Um, it's freaking hilarious that Matsuro Jinrai is like, yeah, they literally it's like, oh no, they didn't rebuild shit. They just kept it going and buying the same guy over and over.
Or
Like,
more likely, just stole it.
maybe, but like, yeah, whatever. The point
It
is
could be
like,
that they bought it, though. That'd be hilarious.
yeah, I mean, it. Well, it would make sense because like, who else would deal with them? Because like, it's black market shady shit. Like, of course they could get away with it. Um, and like, Hirobi is human enough to make it possible.
Right, with his ears covered.
Yeah, right. I mean, like they could steal it, but it's like then you're like doing extra work because if they could just steal Himagia, like why would they waste the time?
Right. But
Right.
hey,
So
here's some
I
black
feel like
market human gear for sale.
right, exactly. So I just it makes more sense that they just bought it. Um, and then like okay, first they remodeled the face, but then the other thing is like they all got the same new face, but I'm like what? Okay, that face doesn't exist. I guess it makes sense why, like, the face doesn't exist in the database because it's like a
Yeah,
custom made one. But
right,
if you
they
literally,
made it themselves. They can't make a face that would exist because they could get caught a lot more easily.
right, makes sense. Um, yeah, it's also interesting. I love how like they throw in the disguises. Like, oh right, all these weird disguises that the actor just shows up in. It's like, no, those are like the other outfits of the other four had on. I'm like, oh, that's fucking genius, man. Like freaking lately reusing actors and shit. Toei is doing such a good job. Well, not Toei, I guess the writers. Um, like that's an amazing way to save budget and stuff. It also makes it really interesting because that just means that like literally the Dodo the Dodo what the hell are they called? What's the power ups this year?
The
uh
progress keys.
progress keys. Yeah. So the Dodo progress key
Well,
is the thing that's
th-
evolving because like
that's the
Hirobi.
Zetsumari's key because it's evil.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So like so the Zatsuma Rise key, like Hirobi keeps reprogramming it. So I mean, it makes sense why like the Dodo form keeps evolving, but like they just keep replacing Assassin Chan. Hmm. I mean, it's weird. Maybe Hirobi resets it to be a specific way because like whenever he wakes up, well, I guess he it's because he hit Singularity that he's got a different personality, but like before it used to be pretty similar, but I guess it's still all just stored in the Zetsumarai's key, right? Like all his memories and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it seems super important that Jin recover the key every time.
Yeah. I mean, like as much as I would like them to do the O's thing of just swapping keys and stuff like that, at least they're kind of doing the thing of like, yes, this is a MacGuffin. They can't all use the MacGuffin, but it's like depending on who holds it, it's super important. And like, that's why like the villains have a thing that they can't lose. That's important because like normally it's just like the heroes kind of have it and then they lose it and then it doesn't matter, right? But here it's like, oh right, I got my freaking bird form stolen, and now the villains use it, and the villains have like the dodo one. But it's like, no, we have to get
But
that back.
they
It's
they
super
stole
important.
the mammoth one from them. That's where Breaking Mammoth came from.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
They made a new key out of for it, but like they took a look at the Mammoth Zesmari's key and went, "Yeah, we can do something with this."
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I mean, Zara did like, um, Yua just gave it to him, and then it's interesting that like the detectives like, hey, use this one. I wonder if that's gonna come into play later on.
Yeah, so Izu like slides into the battle handing Aruto the new key and was is just like, huh, I have a bad feeling about this. Use Breaking Mammoth instead. I don't think Breaking Mammoth matter. I think like any other key matters. Like, no, don't use the new one.
Yeah, I
But
feel like it's gonna run into the graphite problems. Like you could beat him, but he'll just evolve. Like shit, this is like an archetype now, right? Like there's like Phoenix, there's graphite, there's Dodo, um, who the hell? Like I mean, like I guess technically Nazca started it, but like Nazca, I mean he got like two upgrades and then like a different user, but I guess that was the origin. Now it's just a trope that like Ryder uses. That's kind of interesting, right? Like normally Ryder doesn't have like villain tropes, but I guess this is just kind of like a thing now in Ryder, which is cool. Um, but I mean, like they are doing the very Sentai thing of like, oh, the villains plot lines way more interesting than the heroes, which I'm like, yeah, that's generally more of a Sentai thing. Ryder sometimes does that, but you know, see it more in Sentai.
Aruto ultimately trusts Izu's judgment on this one though, because she's always let him write with the new keys and uses the new key, Shining Hopper. The rider kick increases the power by adding to brightness. Shining Hopper. When I shine, darkness fades.
Fuck, that's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
I know. It's like what we're getting a Garo crossover now. That would have been great, but yeah, I mean, like we've got like all the other versions of Hopper, so why not? That's a pretty cool touch, especially because it's just like what you just have more glowing stuff instead of more black. It's more the greenish yellow thing going on. Honestly, that form looks freaking great. Like way nicer than, I mean, like the base form's decent, but like, yeah, the new power up looks great. I do have a feeling that like Waz might be right. It's like you can't use the new power up because they'll, if like Dodo will just come back stronger, right? And then what are you gonna do? Um, I feel like he should have just frozen him or something. But maybe that wouldn't have worked. Thoughts?
And the the next episode preview, it like seems like something's going on with Izu because it's all about like I will fulfill my mission or something like that. Uh,
Yeah, it's something like Izu's decision or something. Yeah, but like something's happening, which is interesting because I'm like like at first I was like, oh, Arto's gonna try to use the new key and it's not gonna work, and then like next episode like Izu's gonna have to try something, but like it works. I'm like, where's the problem here? I mean, like unless it's like somehow like connecting into Dodo or something, like trying to hack him. Like I like it doesn't make sense. Like what does she have to do, right? Like it seems like he's got this handled for the most part. Um, but then again, like the previews have kind of been doing an okay job in not foreshadowing everything because like last week's episode was like, oh look, it's like Izu's older brother robot person, and like no, secretly it's like, hey, Dodo's gonna fucking take over now. Everybody's just gonna have to deal with that. It's like, well, that came out of nowhere. So, like, hopefully something interesting like that happens. Um, yeah. I mean, we're getting closer to Christmas, so bad shit might happen. Um, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it'll work out. Um, yeah. As for Izu's freaking run and slide, I love that's like her gimmick now. It's just she's like, yeah, not a human, right? Like, of course she can run super fast, but it's so badly CGI'd. Like, that's so great. They're just like, fuck it, no, it's a meme. Just run with it.
yeah. Oh. Anything else you want to discuss from this episode?
That's what I was gonna ask you.
I think I'm set.
Yeah. Hmm. I feel like okay. Here's the interesting thing. Maybe Yuzu's gonna have to team up with like the fifth assassin Chen, and maybe that does something. Um, we'll see. Right. And the other thing is like Matsuro Jinrai can't make robots, then where did Jin come from? Or it's like maybe Hirobi tried to make an AI and like he couldn't, and that's why Jin's this weirdo.
Yeah, Jin's still a mystery. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday for more Ryu Soldier. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for joining us everyone, and we'll catch you next time.